one of my videos on some basic scrapbooking techniques. I hope you'll have fun, I hope you learn something, and I hope you'll try it out. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so exactly what is embossing? I'm going to show you something that I've embossed. It's just a plain tag that you get at Office Max or Office Depot. But you notice how it has a shimmer to it, and there's sort of a raised texture. I don't know if you can see that, but it almost looks like there's plastic on there or something shiny like a vinyl. That is the embossing powder heated up. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to do this. Okay, there are a few things you're going to need before you start embossing. One of the first things you're going to need, some scrap pieces of paper, and I'll show you why in a minute. Some Versamark ink or some kind of embossing ink or embossable ink. It comes in the form of a stamp pad. So if you're familiar with stamp pads, it just looks like a regular stamp pad except for the ink is tacky. So it takes longer to dry and your embossing powder will adhere to it. Along the lines of a stamp pad, they also come in the form of a pen. So that you can do your own kind of doodling, or maybe there's just a portion of a stamp that you want to emboss, then you can, just color in the parts of the stamp that you want to emboss, however you want to do it, or freehand it. So those two forms that it comes in. You'll need something to emboss. In our case, we are going to emboss just some plain office tags. I get these at Office Depot or Office Max. I think it's like $5 for a pack of like 200 or something. I love trying techniques on these because they're small and I don't have to worry about wasting paper or wasting cardstock, and also I can also add them as embellishments onto a larger page. So some tags here. Anything though you need to emboss, a card or whatever. Embossing powder. Here are different forms of embossing powder. Now, embossing powders come in different thicknesses and different colors. This one here, I don't know if you can tell, but it's almost like glitter. It's a very fine embossing powder, and you want to use fine embossing powder when you have a very detailed stamp, because you want it just to adhere and only to cover the actual markings on the stamp itself for a very detailed stamp. You also have what's called thick, oh I didn't bring it out, but a thicker embossing powder. It usually comes in clear. And by the way, this is clear. This is white. And the reason why I'm telling you this is I accidentally bought clear the first time I bought embossing powder when I really wanted white, and usually they have their names here. This one says white opaque, and this one says clear deep impression. And so this one will come out completely clear when you emboss it, like my stamp came out in black. This one will come out in white. Really great when you have like dark paper or dark cardstock. This will really show up on there. And then again, you have different pastel colors like pink. And then this one is Pearl Luster Hematite. So anyway, these are the embossing things you'll need. So you'll need pads, scratch paper, something to actually emboss, your embossing ink. If you're not going to freeform it, some form of stamp that you'll be using. Today I'm using Close to My Heart's, I don't know what this is called, but it's from Close to My Heart. It's the acrylic stamp. So because I'm using an acrylic stamp, I also need an acrylic block. And you'll need a heat embossing tool. And you'll also need, sorry, I thought my dogs were going to bark. You'll also need a heat embossing tool. These are not expensive. They're about $10 at Hobby Lobby, Michael's when you use your 50% coupon. It sounds like a blow dryer. It emits heat. It's what actually melts the powder and makes it more of like that plastic shiny feel to it. It is not a blow dryer. So please do not get your blow dryer out and try to do this. I don't care if you have like, the Hot Tools fancy one. It's not going to get hot enough. Most of them look like this, or they actually look like mini hair dryers. Tim Holtz heat tool or Ranger's tool looks like a blow dryer, but it's not. So please do not try it. It does get extremely hot, so some people use tweezers to hold their items when they're embossing them. I don't. I just use my fingers and I risk my life. I'm kidding. But I am careful with it. You also, when you use it, you do not want to leave it in one spot. Like I said, it gets very hot and it can burn your paper. It can burn your photo. I don't recommend doing this near your photos or on your photos unless you're looking for that grunge, distressed look of your photo itself. So, an optional item that you may want is some kind of brush to kind of brush off the loose pieces that I'll show you in a minute. So I brought this out just to kind of show y'all. I'll probably use it a little bit today for your sake, but I normally don't use it. Okay. Okay, let's move everything out of the way and let's get started. Anyway, so I have a sheet of paper here that I'm going to use as a scratch piece while I stamp, because my stamp is larger than my actual tag. So I keep a scrap sheet under here. That way I don't mess up my surface any more than it already is. As you can see, it's beautiful. Kidding. It's really loved and used. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp my stamp. Now, by all means, you can use the pen and color this all in. I'm not a patient person, so I'm just going to do it this way. And I don't know if you can hear that. Let me see if I can get it close enough. It's kind of tacky. It's tacky for a reason. One, it stays wet longer, and two, your powder will adhere to the tackiness. All right. So here's our tag. Love acrylic stamps because you can see actually where you're stamping. So doing this upside down, so if it's kind of funky looking, I apologize. All right, let's press it down and pull it off. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put my stamp to the side, my Versamark to the side, and I'm going to grab my hematite, pearl luster, or whatever it's called. Now, because I have some stamp residue on here, I do not want to reuse this page because I don't want to have anything accidentally stick to that. So this is the actual paper that I'm going to emboss on. So, move this piece out of the way. Alright, so I'm going to sprinkle this very generously on my image. And I'm not wasting it, so don't worry because I'm going to put it back in my bottle. If you've ever used glitter before, it's the same concept where you just kind of pile it on and then you tap it off. You tap it off and it adheres only to where the ink is, unless you have some static on your thing. I don't mind the static. I'm not a very detailed person, but for your sake, I'll show you how you do it. You kind of just take your thing. Some people just tap it like this, but you can tap it off. Excuse my dogs. Sometimes they're idiots, but not all the time. Alright, so here's my stamped image. I don't know if you can tell, it kind of looks powdery. And I'm going to have a blip there, and I'm totally okay with that for now. So, I don't know if you can see that. And I'm going to go ahead and tap all of this that's left over and put it back in my container. It's almost still full. It's still almost full. I don't know. Something like that. Put this to the side. And you don't need another paper here. I just happen to have it here. I'm going to grab my tool. Remember, it is loud, so if you have a headset on, please remove them or turn the volume down so you don't blow out your ears. Alright, so here's my heat embossing tool. Do not hold it in one place. It gets very hot. It will burn your paper. So you kind of move it around, and what you're going to see is you're going to see this powder turn into this slick look that we have here. Okay? So here we go. On the count of 3, make sure your sound is down. 1, 2, 3. Okay. As you see, I'm just going to rotate this around my paper. It gets extremely hot, so sometimes your paper will warp. That's why I don't recommend it for pictures. But can you see how it's changing? Where the heat has touched it and melted the powder. Show you that real quick. See the difference? Okay, so I'm going to turn it around in my hand. Oops. So that I can do the other side. Again, move it around, don't keep it in one spot. Really look at your detailed work, all your little curlies, if you have something that's very detailed, and make sure that everything that you want melted is melted. Like I said, it turns kind of shiny. First time I saw this, it was at Michael's, and I just thought it was magic. I still think it's magic. I mean, I know it's powder that's melting. I still think it's magic. Alright. Just look it over, make sure it all looks melted, and it does. So, here you go. And like I said, I have this little blitz here. I really don't care. But this is what it kind of looks like. You can see. Looks a little different because I didn't touch the stamp down completely here. I am not the expert of stamping, but I have a little knowledge. So here you go. Here are my two different embossed items. And like I said, you can put this on a layout. You can put it inside your Project 365 or Project Life, I can't think of what it's called. I think it's Project Life. Becky Higgins thing. You can use it in the places there when you don't have journaling that you want to do. You can do it with this. Oh, I was also going to show you, I totally forgot. I was also going to show you writing. So that other embossing ink was clear. This one is blue so that you can actually see it when you're using it. And I'm just going to do my name. And this is a very dry pen, so I hope it comes out okay. I don't have to change my paper because I didn't go off the page. I'll do this one in pink. But you see, it's just where I wrote it. So, I'll take this. Put it back in there. Again, on the count of 3, I am going to start using the machine. 1, 2, 3. See if we can see this change. See that? It's turning a lighter pink. You don't have to worry about the blue ink. It fades away. So don't worry. Like you see, I used blue ink and I have pink pink embossing powder. The only time you may have to worry, I think, possibly is when you use the clear ink. And I'll show you why, in another video, why you'd want to use the clear ink ever. Alright. There you go. There's my name, all embossed. Okay, I hope you enjoyed these videos, this video on how to do embossing. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. If there's any other technique you'd like me to show you, please, again, leave it in the comments and I will try to do one for whatever request you have, provided I know how to do it, and I don't know how to do it, that I have the ability to look up how to do it. Again, thanks for watching and have a good one.